All right. Let me start with moving the microphone up so you can hear me. I would like to talk about digital design and delivery at NEOM, probably the largest client that's out there at the moment. There we go. And it's so sad that you cannot see the slides, so maybe you can use AirMeet to view the slides on your mobile or laptop, it's good that the people at home or at the office can see the slides in detail. NEOM is a very special area where we are building the largest city of the world with the size of the country of Belgium, and talk about that a little bit later. But let's talk a little bit about myself first. I'm trained as an engineer, civil and building engineer. Have been working in the construction industry for more than 30 years and just moved to the client side. So this is a whole new thing for me, moving from a general contractor to the client side and work with the ecosystem that I used to be part of myself. Done a lot of things in this area, working on computer-aided design, building information modeling or building information management, VR, AR, industrialized construction, gaming, AI, machine learning, all these kind of topics we have been working on in these companies. And we've made a lot of progress in those areas. Worked on robotics, worked on laser scanning, and it's so sad that you cannot see the slides, but I hope you can see a little bit of it. Worked with VR, AR technologies, worked with gaming technologies to prepare our projects in a very good way. But let's talk a little bit about NEOM. NEOM is a sustainable region in the northwestern part of Saudi Arabia. It is the size of the country of Belgium, so it's a huge area that we're developing into a new city. The city will, in the end, have about 9 million inhabitants, so it's a huge development. And at the same time, we will also protect the environment. So we will build up a very concentrated area. We call that the line, and the line is a 170-kilometer long city that will house about 9 million inhabitants. We're also building a number of tourist destinations. We're building a mountain resort for skiing and water sports. We're building a leisure area on the Gulf of Aqaba for diving and beach fun, all these kind of things. But the most important thing about this whole delivery of NEOM is to diversify the economy of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It's not only about building this city, building this area up, but it's really about diversifying the economy of Saudi Arabia. Now, fully dependent from the income from oil and gas, and the leaders of the country see that they need to do something else to protect the future of the kingdom. So that's what it's all about. So it's about redefining livability, redefining business, and also redefining conservation. So we are also taking care of protecting the environment in NEOM, because, to be honest, most people think about desert and rock if you think about Saudi Arabia, but it is actually a very nice area with a lot of natural beauty, but also a lot of historic interesting sites that are out there that are worth visiting and currently fully undiscovered for the public. So a real tourist destination of the future. And if you could have seen this screen, you would see the current design of the line, and the line is this 170-kilometer long city. Let me see if I can. With the size will be about 500 meters above sea level. The top part of the city will be 500 meters above sea level, and it will look a little bit like this, as you could see the screen. So it's a spectacular project that's being developed at the moment. We will have a hidden marina, which is now on the screen for yachts to visit this area. And some of the images that you can see at the moment picture how this project will look like. This is a picture of Trojena, our mountain resort with ski slopes in there. with a man-made lake that is being built in this area. And the Vault, one of the projects, which is the access to this Torgina environment, spectacular designs. We're also building an industrial city, and this city is also meant to be part of the diversification of the economy in Saudi Arabia. There we will build a lot of factories, a lot of industries that will be the future existence of the kingdom. Well, that was a short introduction about NEOM, and to make this happen, to make it possible to build this city, we have a huge design and construction challenge. So we need to do this in a completely different way. And I've made some comments earlier in the panel discussions. It will be all about changing the way we are working together. It's instead of doing better things, we need to do things completely different. We need to do things in a completely different way. So we have a huge challenge. And we are going to build from nothing, and we are going to build the most technically advanced, sustainable city and regions, and we have only 10 years to live up to that challenge. So we need to do this in a completely different way. We need to pioneer fourth industrialized revolution technologies. We need to create the largest and most advanced industrialized construction ecosystem in the world. So it's not only about building in the kingdom itself, but we need also to set up a full logistics method out there, and we also need to leverage the best treatment of our workers in this city. And at the same time, our industry is far behind. We are even below agriculture, forestry, and hunting, looking at labor productivity and looking at the degree of digitization. So we really need to scale up and really need to move up to this fourth industrialized construction way of working. This slide is one of the most important slides, as you can see in my presentation, a nice white slide. It shows the whole life cycle digital twin approach for NEOM. And we have developed 6 main steps in these slides, which consists of 3 steps that are mainly focused on what we call our digital state or our cyber state, and 3 steps that are mainly focused on our physical state. So looking back at our digital state or our cyber state, we start scanning the existing situation. Just look at the existing situation, what we find out there, and we use that as an underlayer for doing our 3D modeling, our design of the new environment. So that's the second step. Design with parameters, using a lot of parametric design solutions, generative design solutions, to also automate a lot of those processes in that step. We will then simulate this design to make it the best design to be built in the third step. So we'll simulate schedule, we'll simulate time, cost, sustainability, safety, logistics. All these kind of things will be simulated, and we will create what we call our digital master at the end of this first 3 digital phases. So we don't call it a digital twin, we call it a digital master that we use to build from. We then go into our physical part of the process. We start manufacturing parts of the end state of the construction. So instead of moving out to the construction site, we do as much as possible in factories. So using modern methods of construction, fabricating parts, sub-assemblies, which will then be moved to the construction site where we will assemble them into their end state. Once that is done, we have created our digital twin because we enriched our digital master with all the detailed information, all the attributes that are needed to move into the operation and maintenance phase, which is the last step of this circle. All this information that we are producing during this whole life cycle is stored in our, what we call our digital construction engine, or you could also call it a common data environment or a PLM solution. That will be in the center where we will store all our information, our data, and we use that information to give better insights to our management and all our parties in our ecosystem. So to deliver the future of construction, we need to really move from the traditional way of working And this slide shows this traditional way of working to a future way of working, where we apply a lot of digital technologies, a high degree of automation, high degree of robotization, all these technologies to really make this happen. We have developed a vision for the digital way of working in our organization. And the sun is shining nicely, so the screen is now completely white, I think. But this slide shows a little bit about our vision, our, how we measure our outcomes. And in the middle of this slide, you see 3 focus areas where we are focusing on as a client. On the right side, it's our digital ecosystem. So we work closely together with our digital ecosystem. We educate them, we train them, we measure outcomes of their digital aspirations. So working closely together with our digital ecosystem is one of our main focus areas. The middle focus area is us being the most advanced digital client in the world. So where we are now working on our aspiration to become this most advanced digital client. And on the left side in the 3 focus areas, you will see our D&C economy aspirations. So we will also develop new economies in the area of design and construction. So we have built a startup attraction program at the moment. So attracting startups to open their businesses in NEOM, startups that are active in the area of design and construction and operation. The 2 layers behind this are the underpinning layers that we're focusing on. It's about building our digital platforms. As discussed in the panel discussions, these need to be open data platforms. Interoperability is a very important topic in developing these platforms. We're building our enterprise architecture to make it all possible and workable. The bottom part of this slide is talking about what I think is most important in this whole equation. It's about our organizational enablers. So it's not only about technology. It is really important that we focus on technology, process and organization at the same time. So work on change management, work on upskilling our teams, work on re-engineering our processes, and also celebrate our successes going forward. This slide shows a bit of our enterprise architecture. Again, invisible for people in the room here, but it's talking about our the digital twins that we are building, our digital twin exchange engine that we have built, and this digital twin exchange engine is the layer, the architectural layer between our digital twins, and a lot of apps that we're building on top of this digital twin to give insights to the future. We're also building our NEOM-verse, that is the branded metaverse for NEOM. So the NEOM-verse will be built, and a lot of activities shown on the slide are currently in development. And to finalize my presentation here, I just have a couple of slides on how we are building these apps on top of this digital twin layer, on top of this DTX layer, the digital twin exchange layer. And these are some aspirations that we are working on as apps on top of the DTX environment. This slide shows, for example, an app that we have built to give better insight into land use in our line project, to exactly have a good understanding, hey, where is university space, where is living space, where are spaces for different kinds of use in the whole project. We have built an app that can show in our digital twin the mobility issues. So one of the design criteria in the line is that we have a 5-minute access from any place to another place. So from your apartment to a shop, you need to reach that area within 5 minutes. And the app that we built as a digital twin app shows that this is actually possible. So it's a travel time analysis and point-to-point routing analysis app that we have been building. So these kind of examples are currently built in the organization, and that's the way we are doing it in NEOM. Just giving a number of examples on how we are doing that and how we work together with the whole ecosystem, with all of you, to create that and to have a way to success going forward. So with that, I would like to conclude and thank you for your attention.
So I think we've got, is this on? Yeah. We got time for any last questions in the last 5 minutes?
Hello, my name's Barry Bassnett. I'm a knowledge manager, and BIM for me is just part of my ecosystem. And it's great to hear the word ontology being used. I can't tell you how happy that made me. But I'm really curious, with all these new developments, where a lot of us use Autodesk, Bentley, I was wondering how fit for purpose you think these products are right now. And what do you think we might be using in a couple of years' time to do all the design work and the technical work that we have to do?
I'll take that. Yeah, and then you can answer. So I think that one of the problems I've seen, I have to evaluate lots of products as part of my job. So one of the problems I see is that when you buy a digital twin from a PLM company, it can do PLM. And they're starting to add more onto it, so PLM with IoT on there. But some of them haven't sorted out their own engineering processes, which is why you want the PLM in the first place. So now they're adding onto it, and they haven't really gone back and sorted it out, which is to do with the interaction between the PLM system and the non-PLM systems, the financial management system, the asset management systems, the CAFM systems. They haven't got that right. And my personal belief is that eventually they'll have to get it right, otherwise they won't have a digital twin because nobody will buy it. But I go back to what Gartner said, which is and it's a little bit to what we're saying with the CDE, is you're going to have to get used to buying components from different people, putting it together yourself. You can't buy a digital twin for yourself off the shelf. It's got to be made. I don't know if that'll ever change. I can't see it changing, but you've got to put it together for your own context, with your own subject matter experts, and those sorts of things. So you're going to have to use multiple tools, I guess.
Yeah, and I think there will be, for the coming years, there will be an important role for companies like Autodesk and Bentley to support, for example, development of the design. Autodesk has also huge aspirations in the construction space itself. So I think there will be a position for these companies going forward. But we at NEOM are closely working with the startup world to really move. Get new ideas into the organization and work with these kind of new young developers to get things moving, and also keep working closely together with the big vendors to try to move them into new ways of thinking. And I think that is possible in NEOM, because we have this unprecedented scale at NEOM, a $1 trillion US dollar project with a lot of activities that are going to be undertaken in the coming 10 years. So there's a lot of possibilities to also try to make the big vendors that are out there move them into the right direction, help them move into the right direction.
I think what NVIDIA are doing at the moment is really interesting. That's, there are some new really interesting modules. The blockchain I talked about earlier on is going to be an essential part, and there's lots of blockchains. The gaming world is doing interesting things, and then NVIDIA has come in alongside of Unreal Engine and Unity, which were the two predominant gaming ones for getting your interfaces there, and done something completely different to enable you to stream really good 3D that you can put your stuff on, of the world. So I think there is some really interesting things, but how quickly it moves, I'm not sure. But watch that space.
Right. So we have time just about for one last question. So sorry, we've got two individuals. If everyone's happy to run 5 minutes over, then maybe we can address both.
Hi, I understand digital twins means a lot of different things to different people. I come from a further education college, so the uses might be very different. One thing, coming from a construction background and trying to migrate into this digital world, can you give me an overview of the importance of interoperability with new systems that are coming and that are here and now, and old legacy systems that we have to manage, building management systems that operate with Modbus, BACnet, different type of languages, and how that presents a challenge to move forward with a digital twin that means something for us as a further education college?
Okay. Interoperability is the key. Federation is actually the key. You know, you're not going to be able to, when I was referring back to those circles, those concentric circles, if you're buying an asset of somebody, you should be able to buy the digital version of that asset. So it should fit into your picture to the level you want a contract to buy information about it. So you might not be interested in the inner workings of the gearbox, just whether the gearbox is going to fail or not. So you buy that bit of them. So that interaction is necessary for going forwards. But we've got far more of existing stuff than we have of new stuff, and it will remain that way for a considerable amount of time. So interoperability between the old legacy systems is not something that was well solved. So there's a lot of locking. But actually there are now methods of taking data from almost any system. I've done it, we can do it. Even systems that appear to be utterly locked in, we can get the data out of. So I don't see it as an unsurmountable problem. But you can't buy the solution off the shelf. You've got to look at the way you've set it up, the way you've configured it. But all data can be taken out. And again, back to those ontologies I was talking about, it's quite easy to create an abstraction layer that tells you how does that data that existed before the standard came out relate to the BIM standards, or to ISO 15926, the asset management standards, or to the, we're in Europe here, so how does it relate to Inspire, which is European standards? It's actually very, very easy with that abstraction layer to make sense of that data. So you don't have to standardize everything, but you have to be able to relate everything to a standard. That's the approach I do to get it through in 3 months. That's how I do it. Don't know if you want to.
Yeah, maybe from a different angle, and not being a technical angle, but more an organizational angle. I see that a lot of these cool, new, young startup organizations have a big issue to get a foothold in the existing industry, because they're all under very high time pressure, cost pressure. So there's no real possibilities for these startups to really get a foot into the current traditional industry. And I think we have a possibility at NEOM to really give a chance to these kind of organizations to really make it happen with the scale and the size of our projects to really make this difference and get something moving and to get this open environment, interoperable environment really working.
Okay, last question.
Yep. Hi folks, it's a great presentation. Just 2 quick questions. One's more a rating. So with the backlog, Jonge, you're trying to challenge with NEOM and bring the industry forward. And something like Crossrail 2 set out to do that, and Crossrail 2 is now quite late. You know, you're going to face massive pain and chaos in the first couple of years, in my mind. How much contingency and compassion have you allowed for that period of bringing everybody with you? And is everyone aware of that? And the second question is, as you make things more collaborative and more data available, on a scale of 1 to 10, how worried should we become about the resilience and security of our smart infrastructure, and that somebody would just turn all this stuff off and then nothing works? Sorry, not an easy question at the end.
It's certainly not an easy question. I think first question was really focusing about, is it going to be possible? Are we going to be able to make this change? I think we have a number of advantages in Saudi Arabia, being available budgets and also availability of making this change happen. So there's a different kind of political environment in this area. So we have possibilities to make this change happen and show that this is really possible. Because the automotive industry did it, the aerospace industry did it. So I really believe the design and construction industry can also make this change happen. And the second question is not really a question I can answer at the moment, I guess, because it's not really my league. But there is a lot of attention being put into this in this area about resilience going forward, about this city really. We are building a cognitive city, as we call it. So a lot of thoughts are, a lot of design work is putting into that space. We are bringing together what we call the greatest minds of the world to really make this happen.
And maybe I can...
Not really an answer to your second question, but...
I think I can answer your second question. So there's a lot of perceived threat when you bring all of this data and put it into a digital twin, that the digital twin will be an attack point. That's not the attack points. Absolutely not. We can secure the digital twin completely. Your attack points are out in the field. So I used to be the CTO for Capgemini in the Nordics. So I worked on some of our contracts with Serpo, the security services for Sweden. And through that, you get to a lot of experience about where the attack points are. And it's the little controllers out on the field that they've enabled for you to go in and monitor. That's the attack point. They take that out and it shuts that power station down, that subsystem down. That's where they're going on. That's what's been hacked all of the time to see how long it takes to bring them back up. And actually what a digital twin can do is give you a vulnerability map of all of those points. So I would say it's the contrary. Once you've got a good digital twin that you see your whole network, you can see where your vulnerable points are because you know what you've got. You know what the attack vectors are on those points, and then you can prioritize what you do with the criticality of what that point will influence. And therefore, I think as long as you address security, you can actually do a lot of good things with digital twins to stop things coming down.